Today, we have the Skywalker, which is the newest release from CK Aero. The Skywalker is the, I guess you would say, the lineage of the Allure, and then 2 or 3 versions of the Alchemy, and now the Skywalker. The main differences in the Skywalker, obviously, are the new wings. The new wings have a different airfoil, they're thinner. The wingspan is right at 2 meters, it's 78 inches, and a much bigger root and smaller tips. And the stabilizers are all new. They're thicker, not quite as big as the old Allure stabs, but somewhere in between the Allure and the Alchemies. The canopy, the rear of the canopy and the fuselage has been raised up a little over 1/2 inch. It gives more deck area here. It gives a different profile to the canopy itself. The rudder and the fin has been increased in size. The fin is now has about 1 inch more chord, and the rudder itself is 1 inch taller. Same chord on the rudder, just 1 inch taller. So the overall length of the airplane is the same as the Alchemy. Some of the other features this airplane has is the landing gear are about 1 inch taller, so there's not been any problems running a 24-inch propeller. And we flew it today in some really 20-mile-an-hour winds, some gusty extreme winds, and there was no fear ever on landing or takeoff of having a prop strike, which is a good thing. Coming around to the front of the airplane, I had the factory put carbon in the nose about 7 inches from the nose ring all the way back. This gives a much stronger nose area, and you know, running contras of different 2 or 3 different kinds of contras that are available on the market. The mounting can be, on like an Aero can be very far forward, and on a V4 can be a lot more rearward. So I wanted to make sure that we had enough carbon in the area to stiffen the nose and capture the rear mounts on the airplane. The layup is exactly the same. The wing style and stabilizer style are exactly the same, where the wings are pre-hinged in the mold, except I'm taking better steps to make sure that the hinging on the ailerons are a lot looser than some of the earlier types, models that we did, Allure and the Alchemy and some of the other models we did. We changed the layup of the wing just a little bit to assure that's the ailerons are pre-hinged in the molds, but they're done with greater consistency to keep the ailerons as loose as possible. And they'll never be as free as a hinged aileron, but this is something that the modeler does not have to do when he gets the kit. You don't have to hinge your wings, you don't have to hinge your elevators. The rudder is removable because I just could not get a consistent hinged in the mold style of rudder, because of the rudder is about 1 inch at the trailing edge of the fin and at the leading edge of the rudder. It's very thick, and it was just really hard to get a consistent loose rudder setup. So it's a separate piece. So the only thing you have to hinge on this airplane is the rudder. Now the aileron on this airplane is a good deal bigger than the Alchemy ailerons or the Allure ailerons. They're at least a 1/2 inch more chord on the root side and a 1/2 inch more chord on the tip side, and a little bit longer in general. The stabilizer is hinged on the top, on the skin hinge, makes them very loose, and we don't have any problems with that style of hinging, but we don't do it on the wings, only on the stabilizer. This particular airplane, I have it set up with a pin hinge. So it's got a wire in there, and you can remove this for shipping, and some guys prefer that travel. But unlike the Alchemy, you can get 45 degrees of throw on this rudder. I think the Alchemy you were limited to about 40 degrees. And that just gives you a little more security for doing stall turns. And this airplane flies so pure that at full rudder deflection, it has no bad tendencies. It'll stay on knife edge without a roll of any kind on either elevator. I mean, on either rudder. So you can use full rudder to full effect and do some really nice pinwheels. We have a video that I made today with just in some extreme winds, but you can see the power of the rudder. I can just take and you can make the loop, the knife edge loop on knife edge, pretty much any diameter you want, which gives this airplane a lot of flexibility to be able to fly the P and the F schedule, and even in the unknowns. So overall, the airplane has an improved rudder feel, more rudder power. The larger wings, what I was aiming for with the larger wings is have an airplane have a lot more stable spin entry and exit of the snap is a lot more stable. The airplane rolls better, really better than the Allure or the Alchemy. Very good rolling airplane, very easy. The crossovers in your 3 or 4 opposite, like taking candy from a baby, very easy to do. I'm gonna flip it upside down now, and we'll come back and I'll show you how the ailerons and the servos are set up. Okay, this is the model with the cowling off, and I still do this for 2 reasons. It's a lot easier to mount a motor in an airplane where you can remove the cowling, and number 1. Number 2, this airplane can still be flown as a glow plane, which I still have customers, including myself, and maybe even Brett here pretty soon, still flying glow. Also, it makes you a nice deck to mount your speed controller. It's right in the airflow of the airplane. You don't have to cut any excess holes other than your holes for your battery cooling and your motor cooling. But this vent is enough airflow that the speed controller stays cool during the flight. You can see the length of the landing gear is much taller. The old length is about right here. So it gives you a lot more prop clearance. The ailerons are hinged. They're the servos on the top of the wing with a hard point here that's already done in the factory. You just drop the servo in. And these components, these control horns and servo arms come in the kit. I'll also sell a carbon fiber version of these that Jason Arnold makes for me. But if you use my control arm and my servo arm, you'll get the desired snap rate, which is about 30 degrees, 27 to 30 degrees when you set it up at 100% ATV, which gives you it's easy to set up because your size is already selected, and when you put it at 100% ATV and go full throw, you get 30 degrees of ailerons. So you don't have to go searching around for different size arms, and these just screw right on the top of your servo wheel. I've used these on JR, Futaba, you name it. We have a rear rudder servo. This is optional, I guess, if you want to put your servo up front, but the hard point in the rudder is in the bottom. So if you put your servo in the back for the rudder, everything fits up nice and tight. The elevators, you have to cut the holes for your elevators because everybody's using so many different size elevator servos now, from the MKS to the JR. They're all different sizes, and now the Futabas are different sizes. So there's a plywood plate that comes in the kit that's pretty much will fit the majority of the servos. You might have to shave it a little bit, but you glue it underneath in the skin and cut your hole out for your servo and drop it right in. And like I said, all these horns are part of the horn kit that comes. If you set these horns up in the elevator halves and use the long 4-way on the Futaba, and I think there's a couple of other ones, I think on the long JR servos, at 100%, you get the desired throw for normal snap and spin rates. So you don't have to go to extreme ends on your ATV of your transmitter to get the servos for the correct throws. And if you'll come and look over here, this arm glues into this leading edge of the elevator half, right through the skin here, and there's a little hard point, which is basically nothing more than a couple blocks of Airex. And that's it. This aileron servo, the hard points for the aileron arms are right here. You can feel for them. It's solid, very solid. If you come over here and the skin is easy to press, there's no hard point there. So when you install your horn for your aileron, once you drill your hole there, there should be a hard point. If there's no hard point, don't put your horn there. All right, let's look at the carbon in the nose of this airplane. Like I've said before, it comes to about 7 inches back. So it catches the leading edge of this battery tray, which is made for me by Jason Arnold as well. And we sell here. It's very compact. This battery tray can be, the tray can be slid back and forth for your battery adjusting. But the front catches the battery tray and the rear of the motor mount, and really stiffens the nose up in front a lot more than the Allures and the Alchemies were. And if you see here, we have the carbon box for the plug-in style landing gear that we still make for these airplanes. This airplane has a much stronger landing gear and a much longer landing gear, so it'll be a lot more durable. And then in the rear, you can look, the rear has a Depron former shelf that goes all the way to the back of the airplane, which stiffens up the airplane considerably in the rear. Overall, the production style that we use at Extreme Composites on all the airplanes I make there, all the composite airplanes I make there, is this airplane is kind of keeping in with that same consistent layup process. We constantly refine it. One of the things I can say that the paint has been greatly improved. We've changed the paint. It's a lot stronger, a little bit less brittle than it was before, but it shines up really nice and it's very professional looking. We've raised the level of paint jobs on these newer airplanes by a good deal. One of the last features is I made the nose intake area just a little bit smaller than the original one. The fin that used to be this air exit fin that used to be here, this depression that was here, not a fin but a gill, I guess you would call it, is gone. The fillet in the front half of the fillet is gone now because this wing is so much bigger than the Alchemies were and the Allures were. So I eliminated the fillet and basically filled them in and added fuselage girth instead of making the wing to where it was at an angle with the fuselage. I kept a filleted area or a square area so it's much easier to manufacture and set up, and for the modeler it's easier to set up. Just the front side has been erased. Other than that, that's really the changes that have been made. There may be a few other small things that I've overlooked, but this airplane was intended for a couple purposes. Is to give a FAI modeler the ability to fly cleaner unknowns and the more integrated maneuvers of the newer style in the catalogs without having to have a biplane. It's less complicated, a little bit easier to travel with. Also, it's really good for the master's class and the AMA class maneuvering. With the larger wing, like I was telling before, the spin entries, the rolls, the snap exits, there's a lot of things that really improved. And with the rear of the airplane being increased in size, it's just better for the contra motors, which have become kind of the dominant propulsion systems now in F3A and even in AMA. So it just tidied up a few loose ends with the Alchemy. And of course the new name is the Skywalker, which is kind of a play on Brett's son Luke, Luke Skywalker, and thought I'd change the name up a little bit. We had a lot of A's, now we're with the S's. So I hope you enjoy the video. We're gonna have some flight video including. Don't judge the flight video so hard because I haven't flown in 6 months and I'm flying holding the transmitter like this, which I'm used to flying with a tray. So it was extreme winds today. I just wanted to have some kind of reference and profile in the air. I'm trimming the airplane for the customer. He bought the full package, and I was pleased that the airplane has no roll coupling and no pitch issues. It's very clean. Only one mix I have is a downline mix. It's a 3% downline mix. Other than that, you can do knife edge loops, hard knife edge loops, pinwheels on full rudder if you want, and the airplane just stays rock solid on knife edge. No roll out. It's really good, and this allows the airplane to be easily flown through harsh maneuvers, especially like the figure eight we have, the vertical figure eight, or rolling eight with integrated rolling circles, and you don't have to fight the airplane because the airplane has no bad habits. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you get a chance to look at the rest of the video with the flights, and drop me a line, give me some feedback.